Time for today's face-off on Fox Soul. Challengers Quan LX and Big Angry Adams, ready to go blow by blow on those hot topics. Face-off on Fox Soul starts right now. In this round, here's Charles Big Angry Adams.
All right, Quanell, that was recently released video of the terrifying terror attack in New Orleans by Shamsud Din Jabbar. We saw a young African-American woman narrowly escape death by just jumping out of the way and then stepping into a restaurant as he barreled down a narrow New Orleans street. He was, the terrorist monster was, he was indiscriminate against who he killed. A young African-American girl, 18, had snuck out of her house and was killed. Princeton graduate, oddly enough, the child of the royal nanny. It was just just like New Orleans itself, which is a melting pot of cultures and people who all come together to celebrate either whatever they're there to celebrate, or they're celebrating the new year. And he intentionally went there. We've also got more facts. Initially, there was some allegation that he had help planting the explosive devices and doing things, setting it up. It turns out it was just him in different outfits. They have said that he was radicalized. In fact, his brother talked about how he just shifted as a person once he became radicalized by whatever offshoot of Islam that caused him to want to kill Americans.
Allegedly ISIS.
Well, yeah, I think he publicly claimed it. He had the flag, but we don't know, we haven't heard anything about who radicalized him here, right? His mosque is reported to have issued a statement telling people not to talk to others, the outsiders, about this incident, which I thought was kind of strange.
Which
Obviously,
was smart.
Well, I think it's to be obstructive to a federal investigation into who was promoting terror. I don't think it's smart. If, in fact, conversely, if what we did see in the wake of 9/11, and more importantly in the wake of Desert Storm, where we saw people targeting both government and individuals targeting Muslims. But I think we're in a different time right now. We're in this kind of mythic time where the government's saying it's conservative white males are the greatest threat, and we just pretend because of wokeism that radical Islam doesn't pose such a danger across the Western world. But we can't just focus on that attack.
Let's stay here for a second.
Go ahead.
Because this gentleman, and I say that loosely, because when you take the life of innocent human beings, you're no longer a Muslim. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him.
Are you not familiar with the Quran?
Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said if you take the life of one innocent human being, it is as though you have killed the whole of humanity. And it goes on to say in the Quran that the ink of the scholar is more precious than the blood of the martyr, because we are to educate people who are not knowledgeable about Islam, and those who have a problem with Islam, give them the wisdom of Islam, but don't kill them because of some political difference. Let's get deeper though. Now you talk about the Muslims at the mosque he attended here in Houston said they should not speak about this case. They were right, because certain venues will have them speaking about this case that they have no real knowledge of, take out of context what you say, then have Homeland Security knocking at your front door with a search warrant saying you're part of a radicalized group. Secondly, if you're going to say something about this case, make sure you say it in a venue with witnesses and recording devices, so you cannot be accused of saying something as a Muslim that you did not say, because this country has a history of distorting the facts of comments of Muslims and then putting them under a terror indictment, onto a terror watch list. Thirdly, who radicalized him? This man was a well-trained United States serviceman. This man had did tours of duty, killing on behalf of the United States military. This man had been in Iraq, had been in Afghanistan. He had spent time in the Middle East fighting on behalf of America. So this is America's radicalized, trained killer before Islam ever, quote unquote, radicalized him. Maybe he did develop a distorted misunderstanding of Islam and did something stupid like the KKK does in the name of Christianity. But this man is not a Muslim because he went against the tenets of Islam, the Hadith and the Sunnah of Muhammad, peace be upon him.
Yeah, I know that lie sounds good. I know that's a new, woke, politically correct lie, right? And you love to trot out the KKK, an evil organization, but you don't find support in the New Testament for the KKK's violence. There's no biblical support for it. If you look at the Quran, and you can quote verses and play make-believe, but there is express authorization for violence against infidels, for violence against non-believers, right after the wake of the
That's under persecution. That's under persecution.
I listen to your BS.
Because don't lie on the Quran in my presence.
I listen to your BS.
But I'm not going to listen to you lie on the Holy Quran in my presence. State your facts.
Okay, let's talk
That's
facts.
not in the Quran.
Let's talk all the Islamic scholars, right? In the largest religion in the world, you look at Afghanistan, you look at the Taliban, you look at those who were chanting for intifada the day after this attack in New York, right? You have express to take non-believing women as sex slaves, to
in
control
what religion?
The Islamic faith.
No,
now, I understand
those are backwards raised, misunderstood Muslims.
But there are millions and millions of Muslims
you
that
got
believe
Mormons right here in America
Okay.
that believe in raping little girls is ordained by the Bible itself.
And-
you got Mormons
let me
right
tell
in
you
America,
something.
and you have other religious
and the
cults
difference is-
that claim
the
Christianity
difference is-
that murder
the
people in the
difference
name of
is
Jesus.
When we talk about those cults, we did it a few weeks ago, right? That Mormon cult. We both talked about how horrible it was, and we had a robust conversation. But you sit over there and you pretend like there is not
Every religion has its sick
Okay,
members.
You're right, but the problem is
All of them.
those Islamic sects are very large. We're talking millions and millions and millions of people that support that interpretation. There are entire nations that support it.
When you look at the
have
radical
people
Muslims
marching, and
who
instead
perform
of calling
criminal
them out,
acts,
instead of
they're
you,
not even 1% of our religion, Charles.
Instead of
not
you,
even 1%, Charles.
That is an absolute lie.
Charles, there's over
And
1.5 billion Muslims on
look
Earth.
what's happening
So
in
you're trying to
Europe.
tell me there's 105 million of us?
Okay, no. But I think there are tens of millions that
That's
either,
an absolute lie, man.
expressly supported or tacitly supported, and it is exacerbated by peaceful. Let me
ask you a
finish
question.
this sentence.
Go ahead.
By peaceful, loving Muslims like you and your sect. Right now, I do have some. The Nation of Islam does have some strident positions against white
But
folks.
we
that I
ain't
find
never killed
unnecessary.
nobody.
No, I agree.
We don't commit those acts.
I absolutely agree. Okay, I know that you and your belief system and your sect of the Muslim faith absolutely does not promote violence and is a religion. While you don't like some people based on skin color, you promote love and caring.
It's about mindset, not skin color.
I got you. But there are huge sects, and the fact that you'll never address it, that use straight language from the Quran to justify raping women,
But you have those
enslaving
same type of
women,
Christians
and murdering
right here in America.
You don't have a big
You have
number,
those same
and there's
type of
no
Christians.
biblical support
So let me ask
for
you a
it.
question. When you had millions of Americans that said separate and unequal
no
was
biblical
permissible through the Bible.
There's none for
when you
that.
had
They're
Christian,
just
let me
racist.
finish. When you had Christian ministers in America that said black people were cursed from the Bible to be black, from the Hamitic curse on Noah's son.
Absolutely
and so therefore
ignorant.
the Bible permitted slavery. We had millions of white people in America who believed that.
You're right.
The Pope himself, John Pius VI,
You're right.
said it was not incompatible to be a slave owner and a Christian at the same time.
When did he say that? When did he
But
say
remember,
that?
Charles,
When did he say that?
He said it in 1871.
Exactly.
But Charles, he was the head of the biggest Christian
Here's
body
the
on earth.
Okay, but here's the thing. Where is there slavery in the world today? Right now, where is there legal, accepted slavery in the world? Muslim
America
nations.
too.
No, it's
America
not
too.
legal here.
Yes, it is.
Oh, come on, let's hear this.
Let me say this.
Go ahead.
When you look at the 13th Amendment, it says neither slavery or involuntary human servitude shall exist within the borders of America. But guess what? It said, comma, unless you've been duly convicted of a crime.
Okay, right.
Slavery is legal in America when you're convicted of a crime.
Right.
And who are the #1 most convicted men in America for a crime? Black men.
Well,
so slavery
hold
didn't
on,
end
hold
in
on.
1865.
Hold
It's
on.
alive and well right now today.
Hold on.
And guess what about
Hold on.
slavery? Look up the private companies, the private institutions, the private corporations that are making billions off of prison labor because they're free slaves and it's legal to do it.
Okay, so, right, I know you, again, this is just you trying to transport it away from having a robust conversation about the real
No, I didn't
problem
hit you across, I
with
didn't hit you across your
radicalism.
head
No,
with
you
them
didn't.
facts.
I'm going to give you facts, okay? So you're talking about this. I have long been, for decades, been an advocate. In fact, 24 years ago, I wrote a thesis at Harvard that was focused purely on the radical oppression of black men with the drug war. There is no doubt that young black men are searched differently, arrested differently, where you have a nudge, wink, wink culture of like George W. Bush, or Judge H.W. Bush, W, the younger one, the son. He did cocaine at Yale. Kids at Yale can do all the drugs they want.
At Yale?
Yeah, right. They don't have
He did cocaine in Houston.
Right. They don't have the
Right there off
rich
McGregor.
people.
He
Hold
was
on.
smoking dope with the
Rich
brothers right
people
off
don't- No,
McGregor.
he wasn't, and that's the thing.
No,
Rich
George
people,
Bush, Herbert Walker
Okay.
Jr. got high
He
with
wasn't
black
junior.
brothers
But hold
right
on.
there
Hold on.
in McGregor
Look,
in South Houston.
There is no
You better
doubt,
ask some
there
old
is
black
no
folk.
doubt that black people were policed and they're continuing to be policed in the war on drugs differently. It's unfair. And those guys should not be in prison. But it's also a reality that you don't ever want to address that, 70% of the aggravated robberies are in America are
Let's
committed by
pivot to the
African
white
Americans.
terrorists.
No, you wanted to
Let's
talk.
pivot to the white
we can
terrorists.
do it. Hold on.
You want to talk about
hold
these
on.
terrorists?
See, you don't want
Let's
to talk
pivot
about
to
it.
the white
You don't
one.
want to talk about the
We talked about
majority
the
of
black
murders.
one.
No.
Let's talk about the white
Hey,
terrorists
what
now.
Matt is telling me in my ear, we're going to do that the next segment. We're
Okay,
out of time.
all right,
Let's
sure.
stick with this.
'Cause you ain't getting away from this one.
The majority of murders in America, and that's not even talking per capita basis. When you talk per capita basis, it gets even crazier, right? Are committed by African American men. White men commit violent crime too. They're on a per capita
Are the
basis.
biggest mass
Hold on,
killers in
hold on,
America,
no,
white men.
Absolutely, that's not true.
Are the #1
That's
serial killers
absolutely
in
such
America
an incredible
white
lie.
men?
Okay, the
When
truth is
your mass murderers,
Okay, no.
overwhelming majority are white
So when you
men.
talk about prison populations and slavery, one thing to tell people if they don't want to go to prison is stop committing violent crime.
Yes, but
Period.
no.
Right?
Yes, but no.
So what I'll
But remember,
agree on the drug war is
crime
biased.
and poverty
Violent
go
crime-
hand in hand.
Okay. Well,
crime and poverty go
Not
hand
really.
in hand.
Not really.
Who set the ghetto
Not really.
up? Who
Not-
took all the jobs,
Okay.
all of the industry
Okay.
out of the ghetto? Who made sure the ghetto was impoverished?
no doubt.
Who made sure no economic
There is no
opportunities of
doubt
equality
that we
win
need
the
to
ghetto?
make sure
When you
there
have
is more
poverty, you have
economic
crime.
opportunity for all. Like
See,
in the
rich
last
white
4
folks
years.
don't commit the same
Oh,
black
no, in
crimes
the last 4 years,
like poor
it's
black
been- it's
people
been
in the
white
ghetto
men being
because they have
discriminated
more
against in
economic
employment.
opportunities.
Okay, there is absolutely no doubt. Well, actually, there's far more white people living in poverty. I know you don't want to have that tough
they're large.
conversation.
No,
Right.
white folks are the
There is-
largest number on
but
welfare.
on a per capita
The
basis,
biggest welfare
but
recipients
on
are
a
white
per
people in
capita
America.
basis, it is absolutely true that African Americans have a far tougher road. But the thing is, we're
But why
talking about
was the
this
road
crap
tough?
because you don't want to talk about radical
why was the
Islam
road
and
tough?
the Western world's problem
But
with
why was the
people
road
coming
tough?
from the Middle East and South Asia and blowing stuff up and killing people and looking to their religious doctrine
born in America.
as justification.
He born in America.
Right, and he was radicalized by radical
was trained by the
Islamists,
US
and
military.
those radical Islamists need to
He
be
was
identified
trained
and
how
need
to
to be
kill
arrested.
by the U.S. military.
I know. There's never any response. You always
The
project
US
out.
military
You
talking about
always
a kill.
point. You got 3 fingers pointing right back at you.
In this round, here's Quanell X.
Charles, we were just watching video of a terrorist attack carried out in Las Vegas, Nevada, in front of Trump Tower, allegedly by this gentleman named Michael Lifsberger. And I say allegedly, and I'll get to why I say allegedly. This man who carried out this quote-unquote terrorist attack rented a Tesla fortified vehicle. But let's talk about Michael Lifsberger. This was one of the most well-trained and well-decorated special forces soldiers in America. This man was a Green Beret, had over 7 tours of duties. This man was also an instructor of special forces training. This man participated in global competitions where special forces operatives and soldiers from across the country would compete against each other, and this man won first place. They had special forces operatives from Russia, China, Japan, Germany, and a few other nations, and he and his partner were from America. They won the competition. It wasn't even close. And we're supposed to believe that this Green Beret, this special forces soldier at the very top of his skill level, bought a Tesla truck that's fortified and bulletproof to blow it up to cause mass murder and mass harm. This man's level of knowledge. Then we're supposed to believe he packed the vehicle with fireworks. This is a man that's trained others how to build and develop bombs on foreign battlefields, but he makes a bomb with fireworks. Then there's some reports from those associated with the investigation, according to another podcast, very popular, I won't name, they're saying this man's DNA that was recovered from that vehicle didn't even match Michael Lifsberger's son. That's allegedly. Charles, it ain't no way in the hell I'm buying this, man. You got a terrorist attack take place in New Orleans by a well-trained soldier, Mr. Jabbar. Then a few hours later, a simultaneous attack takes place in Las Vegas by a well-trained special forces soldier, and both men had spent time and trained at Fort Bragg in North Carolina. Charles, what's wrong with this picture? I'm not buying what they're telling us.
Well, there were some other similarities that people are making a lot of hay about, not just the Fort Bragg and, of course, the choice of days to commit their attacks. They both rented the vehicle from the Turo, which is like Airbnb for cars. Hey, y'all, how can people be foolish enough to trust strangers with their cars is beyond me. So much liability. But, you know, look, there is very clear evidence that, of course, immediately there was a rush to point this towards radical right-wing, extremism, because that's the assumption. This is a pro-military guy. It does turn out people have found some posts from a partner who was very anti-Trump, it seems, and of course he got a Tesla, who obviously in the inner circle with Trump, and drove his vehicle in front of Trump Tower and blew it up,
knowing it wasn't going to blow up.
So it doesn't. Well, that's the big question.
Come on, Charles.
That's the big. So the question is, was it done by a conservative trying to make a statement, or was it done by a liberal trying to attack, which we've seen
Charles,
recently, a lot of
look at the
left-wing
level
violence.
of expertise and knowledge of this man.
But I think it gets even deeper than that, but also a bit shallower, because the conspiracy theories, I think, are probably off base. It looks like he was going through the dissolution of his relationship. I mean, he's a well-trained, trained in bomb making and just about everything
super well
else.
trained.
But every man's a man, and there are some men that can't handle their marriages or their
his wife
partners.
allegedly caught him having an affair.
Okay.
Now that drives him to go commit a terrorist attack because your wife caught you having an affair.
Well, the question is,
Charles, stop, man.
No, hold on.
Stop. We're not buying this lie, Charles.
Can I finish?
Go ahead.
Okay. So the question is, was it a terrorist attack, right? That he just unfortunately picked a vehicle that was so strong that it would contain that blast, right? Because there are some people that argue that he was trying to harm people, but he picked the wrong car. I will agree with you.
He was that dumb.
I will agree with you that he most certainly wasn't
with
dumb,
fireworks,
right? And that instead he was committing suicide, and that's what apparently he conveyed in a message, was that he wanted people to notice his death. He allegedly
Did you read that dossier?
Shot himself.
Did you read that dossier?
Yes, shot himself and died, and then it blew up in a car that, if he, being the intelligent man, he was probably aware it was very unlikely to kill anyone else.
They showed video of his body and still pictures of his body burning in the vehicle, okay? Charles, you a cop. You Been on all kind of murder scenes.
I've been a cop for 25 years.
You're a retired police officer.
And I did retire. I became a lawyer
Charles,
young.
and you're a lawyer, Charles.
Right.
They're telling us this man's in the video sitting straight up burning like this in the vehicle. Charles, if you shoot yourself in the head from either side, your body gonna fall over and slump over, Charles.
Not if you're
your body
belted
not
in.
gonna sit straight up like this and just burn in the perfect position.
Not if you're seat belted in. It'll hold you up.
Charles,
and
Charles,
I've seen dead bodies
Charles,
in all kinds of
even if
strange,
you seat belted in, Charles,
positions.
your body gonna do this or your body gonna do this. Charles, it does this.
Okay.
Come on, man. Here's another one.
I think we all have real questions.
Here's another one.
But I don't think we should make assumptions.
But wait a minute. Here's another one. They said he was insane, okay? That he had reached a moment of insanity, right? Did you read that dossier? He sounded like an intelligent scholar.
Well, there are crazy smart people. Think about the Unabomber. The Unabomber was a brilliant academic
man.
And then
but he was a total
killing people.
But he was a total recluse.
Bombs. Yes, but he was killing
and
people.
Guess what? Lived in the woods by himself.
Okay.
This man, everything about him said normal American, great American. Charles,
I'm telling you, women.
This is Charles
losing relationships, even if it's your own fault.
So you want the American people to believe that both these men committed this act on the same day?
I think
trained at the same military basis.
I think he decided that he wanted to die, and he wanted his death to be noticed.
So what a coincidence!
And he picked a point where it would be noticed. I think it's all horrible
you
and
believe
sad.
That?
Yes, I actually believe it. I think that this was somebody whose ego didn't want his death to be quiet, and he went to a place where he knew he'd get a lot of attention.
And he was that clumsy to get some attention.
I don't think he was clumsy. I think he
with
did a
fireworks.
I think he did a good job killing himself.
Stop, Charles.
That's it for the Face Off on Fox Soul. We'll catch you next time.